Welcome to Sports Extra. I'm your host, Ali Gauhar. On the first half of the show, we're going to focus on Amir King Khan's stunning comeback. He knocked out Greco in 40 seconds. That's right, 40 seconds. It was a magnificent display of skill and power from Amir Khan. I mean, we all knew that he's been blessed by the boxing gods. He's got incredible speed. But to come back after what, 2 years is it? 2 years. And knock a guy out in 40 seconds is quite incredible. So he should be very proud of what he achieved in the ring. We're going to talk about that. And then on the second half of the show, we're going to talk about golf in Pakistan. And we'll mainly be focusing on the Asian tour that's making a return after 11 years. But first, we're going to get to boxing with two guests in the studio. I've been joined by Mr. Ahsan Haqqani. Ahsan, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Good to be here.
And we also have Ali Mehdi. Ali, Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam, Ali.
Ahsan, looking at everything, taking everything into perspective, making a comeback after 2 years, the trouble Amir Khan faced in the ring and outside the ring to come up against a talented boxer like Greco, to be able to defeat him in that manner. I mean, it really is a fairy tale stuff, isn't it?
Phil Greco. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from Amir Khan over here, but I don't think boxing fans even knew who Phil Greco is. He's not even rated in the WBC. Amir Khan himself is rated number 8 in the WBC. He hasn't won a single title in the boxing ring after 2012. I mean, it was a brilliant comeback, yes, but against Greco, who isn't even ranked in the WBC, 45 seconds, more like 40 seconds in the ring, coming back after a brilliant knockout by Canelo Alvarez 2 years ago. I mean, okay, fine, I'll give him some credit, but then again, he's not in contention for any belts as yet.
Well, fair analysis, I guess. But again, when you take everything, like let's put everything into context here, that Amir Khan, he hasn't been in the ring for 2 years. He's been facing a lot of difficulties, well-documented difficulties. They've gone out to the public. It's been all over Twitter, all over Facebook. And then, of course, just as a boxer, people say that he's got, a glass chin. He's easy to knock down. So, yeah, okay, fine. Greco may not be, Muhammad Ali in the ring or anybody else, but still, I think to be able to get a performance like this under his belt isn't bad.
First off, Phil Greco was selected for the very purpose that Amir Khan has to get back in the business. This is the last spell of his career. Yeah. So he has to get back with a bang. Now, Phil Greco is not known to be a big puncher. You have to select a guy who's not a big puncher in order to come back for Amir Khan, obviously because he's known as the glass chin of the boxing industry. And first off, I'd like to tell you the difference between the amateur and the professional bouts. Now, in amateur bouts, you start off with 3 rounds. And in those 3 rounds, you get points with flurries and different fast punching abilities that Amir Khan has. I mean, he's a pedigreed boxer from Britain who's won a silver medal earlier in his career in the Olympics. I won't take that away from him. Okay, granted. But when you go to the professional arena and you face boxers like Danny Garcia, who knocked him out, and Canelo Alvarez, who knocked him out, and now Kell Brook, who's in contention and who wants to knock him out as well.
Right, be that as it may, again, I want to try and put everything into perspective here. Fine, Greco may not be the best in the world, far from it, but consider everything that Khan has been through. And then, being knocked out, Ali, we talked about his knockout when he became a middleweight. That wasn't an easy thing to do. It wasn't an easy thing to get in the ring, where he actually, if people remember, he held his own. And in the end, he got 1 punch and he got knocked out. To be able to produce a performance like this, to knock a guy out in 40 seconds on his comeback, isn't a bad performance.
I think if you take everything into perspective, considering that this is his comeback match after 2 years, I think it was a very, very decent performance. In our last show, we did discuss that it was very important that he puts on a very, very good performance. He puts out a resounding victory. And that's exactly what he did. In 40 seconds, he completely knocked the stuffing out of
Ali, we'll pick up on your thoughts. We've got the man himself, Mr. Amir Khan, online with us. Amir Khan, Assalamu alaikum. Great to have you on.
Hey, wa alaikum assalam. It's nice to be on this with you guys.
Well, first of all, congratulations on your magical comeback. It was a stunning performance. You must be very proud of what you've achieved.
No, no, definitely, yeah. I am very proud with the performance. I worked very hard for this fight. My team was amazing. Few changes in team. Obviously, my old coach was sick, so he was no longer in camp. But, you know, I did everything I needed to, and I made sure I didn't cheat myself. I worked hard through training camp, had some good sparring, had some good rounds with other fighters, and came in the ring very confident. And only had one thing on my mind was to win.
Right, Amir, I want to take you back to the press conference. I mean, it was clear that Greco, although he was being a little more respectful than he was before, he was trying to have a go at you. He was trying to get at you. But then, when your turn came to speak, there was a great deal of maturity, and then your coach spoke as well, and you could tell that he had great faith in you. It just seemed as if, although you didn't say much, there just seemed to be a lot of self-confidence there. I think because you just seem to have acquired a lot of self-belief. You've brought that self-belief back.
No, definitely. You know, at the first press conference, I remember Greco talking so much trash. He wanted to be the big man. I'm sure he's not scared. Trying to get under my skin. And basically, I had to make sure that, you know, I show him who the boss is. End of the day, he's coming to England to fight me. Into my city, so I had to make sure that I'm not going to let him disrespect me. And then as we got close to the fight, when it came to the final press conference, you could see he totally changed. And I think the reason why he changed was because he knows that it was fight time. It was close to the fight, and there's no turning back now. So, you know, what he said, he knew Amir's going to be a little bit angry. I knew I was a little bit angry with the way he came across at times. But I just had to stay focused because I wanted to let my fist do all the talking. I didn't want to talk back and be trashy and go down to his level. I wanted to keep it classy and let my fist do the talking in the ring.
Amir, let's talk about the mental side of things, shall we? And that's what probably, I mean, you would probably say 70% of boxing here. Now, how does it make you feel when people, and Greco said this himself, that you're well past your prime, you're over it, and you know, this is the twilight of your career and you won't be here for very long. Does that sort of talk, does it motivate you? Does that make you work harder in the gym and then you let it all out in the ring? Is that actually good for you when people try to put you down?
Yeah, it does. When you have somebody trying to put you down and say that you're finished and you lost your last fight and you're never going to win again, and try to put you down, and that shows to me that that person's scared. He's trying to use every little advantage for himself. He's trying to make himself feel confident, and to me, it makes me train even harder. So in a way, it was good that Greco said those words, because that made me go to the gym and train harder, work harder, and made me realize that I can't afford to make any more mistakes. I need to win this fight, make sure I win this fight in good style. And Greco's no easy opponent. You know, he's a tough opponent for anybody. And I had to make sure that I train hard for this, and I put on a spectacular win to show the world that Amir is back.
Just a couple of more questions, Amir. I know you probably have to get to training soon. But what we saw, although it was brief, but what we saw in those 40 seconds, it was, I mean, you were sticking to what you knew best. What we saw there was just incredible speed. And I think what you said in your press conference, you felt like you were 25 again and you're moving better than you were 5-6 years ago. So you really have walked the talk here, so it would seem, especially from this first performance. Was that what you were looking to do, just to stick to your strengths?
Exactly. You know, my strengths are what get me far in my career. My speed, my movement, my power. And I wanted to showcase that. And I knew that, you know, going back to my old self again, going back to me punching fast, using my speed, using my movements and my combinations against Greco, who's going to be, you know, Greco's got a little bit of he's a little bit shorter than me, so I had a little bit more reach. But he's a strong, rugged fighter, so I had to use my speed against him early, but obviously I caught him with some good punches, some good power shots. I think in training camp we've been working on a lot of power as well with my strength conditioner, Tony Brady. and everything came right. You know, everything worked well for me, and we got the finish and got the win. That's the main thing.
Amir, final question. Tell the viewers what's coming up next.
Well, inshallah, you know, I want to be back a world champion again. I want to fight for a world title soon. I want to be back in the boxing ring in the next couple of months. After Ramadan, I want to enjoy Ramadan with my family. My wife is expecting another baby, so you know we're gonna be having our second child in the family. But the main thing is, you know, I want to come back to Pakistan to see my fans. I'm gonna be in Pakistan hopefully in around next month. Do some charity work there as well. But look, I've got a lot going, man. I'm still, like I said, like you mentioned earlier, I feel better now than I did when I was 25. So things are going well for me, man. I'm happy the way things are going.
We're going to leave it at that. Amir Khan, thank you very much for speaking to us, and best of luck to you. That was Amir Khan speaking to us. Obviously, he's very happy with what he achieved. Ali, I think, again, you know, satisfaction is obviously there. People have obviously had lots of things to say about him. But like I said, you know, to be able to acquire that sort of willpower is quite a performance, knowing that the whole world is watching for you. Many of them waiting for you to mess up. To be able to do that, I mean, it's no easy task. It shouldn't be scoffed at.
It's no easy task considering what he's been through over the past 2 years. His private life, him behind in the ring practicing, has been open to the world. Everybody knows what he's been through. So I think considering what he's been through, he's done a very, very good job. Look, this is the first step. This is the first, he has to take baby steps if he wants to get back to fighting for world titles. But at this moment of time, I think this was the first best appetizer. And then after that, we have to see what's next. I don't think he's given out, spilled any beans as to who's going to fight next. But I think they are behind working very hard as to see who's going to come next. I think Kell Brook would be great, and I agree. I would think that Ahsan would agree with me over here.
Ahsan, you're keen to chip in?
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, I mean, 45 seconds beating Kell Brook, okay, it's a good start. What I actually wanted to ask Amir is, he's no longer with Virgil Hunter. Now, Virgil Hunter is a very good coach. We all know that in the boxing industry. He's switched to Joe Goosen now, who's also a very good coach. Is he planning to go back to the US and train with Joe Goosen as well? Or is he going to stick with Virgil Hunter? Or is he planning to fight with Kell Brook or other prospects? He mentioned taking on Broner the other day.
Broner, yeah.
Adrian Broner is a very good prospect for him. But then again, Broner fights at 142 pounds. Amir Khan wants to fight at 147.
Yeah.
So even if they fight, it's going to be a catch weight. And then again, Kell Brook is a very good prospect. Kell Brook fights at 154. And Amir Khan again wants to stick with 147. That again would be at a catch weight.
And we know what happened last time when he went to weight higher, he got knocked out by Canelo. So it's very interesting dynamics over here. Who is going to fight? Is he going to go for Adrian Broner? Is he going to go for Kell Brook? I think Errol Spence is a bit too far away. He did have a jab at Errol Spence.
Do you think he's already picked someone, or is he figuring it out now?
I think he's figuring it out right now. He's looking at the terms and conditions. I mean, he now has Eddie Hearn, he's had a lot of things in the past, and now he's his manager.
Absolutely.
Too.
Eddie Hearn has his own company, Matchroom Boxing. Now, before that, he was with Golden Boy Promotions, Oscar De La Hoya. That's a very big name in the boxing industry. Now, when he switched to Eddie Hearn holds most of the boxing stable in the UK, including Anthony Joshua. Now, Anthony Joshua is going to be he's already unified the WBA and the IBF. He might fight the WBC, Deontay Wilder in the future. That's a very big fight as well. But then again, Amir Khan has to take baby steps, as Ali said earlier. And I think that the title shot is far off.
I mean, he's 31 years old. I mean, he's done this many times before. So I'm sure he's acquired enough experience to do the right thing.
At the end of the day, it's the money game that counts. Because then again, when you're in amateurs, you're fighting for your country, you're fighting for the associations that sponsor you. But then again, when you move to the professional bouts, it's all about you and how much of a crowd and promotions can you gather up through your promoter.
Ali?
No, I completely agree over here. Right now, he's just taken baby steps right now. He's now with Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn is box office in the UK, but he doesn't have much of a say in the US.
Doesn't have much clout.
Yeah, doesn't have much clout like he had when he was at Golden Boy with Oscar de la Hoya. So right now, I think he's going to be figuring out what to do next, but I think he's going to find a British fighter, and I think he really wants to have a go at Kell Brook. And if he can get that Kell Brook...
That's a money fight.
That's a money fight. And if he can get that match, oh boy, that's going to be one
But
hell of
then
a
again,
match.
we all know that the big money fights are in the US. And in order to be big again, he has to move to the US.
But don't you think it's a bit early right now for the US?
Not right now. Not right now. Okay, fine. He is with Eddie Hearn. And I mean, if Eddie Hearn's Matchbox is promoting for him, it's a sure shot that he's going to be fighting the next few bouts in the UK, which is actually good for him. That's a morale-boosting thing for him, since he's fighting in his own corner and not going to the US and fighting other contenders like Adrian Broner. You've got Errol Spence.
The world
Yeah, you've got, even if he fights people like Danny Garcia again, I'd be satisfied. I mean, Danny Garcia is the person who knocked him out. Same case scenario. He was winning the fight, glass chin, one bang on his chin, and he was all blacked out. So yeah, he needs to work on that. That's one thing that Joe Goosen has taught him, and we saw that. Joe Goosen was constantly saying, Amir, look into the other boxer's eyes. Because he pulls out his eyes, the moment he takes his eyes off the other boxer, it's a clear shot for the other boxer.
I mean, this is what Ali and I were talking about. I mean, his weakness is obvious. It's very apparent, and Amir is well aware of it than anybody else. So I'm sure Joe Goosen talked to him about this, and he's worked on it. But he needs to continue working on it. So to leapfrog himself into a difficult situation isn't a very good idea, and I'm sure Amir and his team know that.
Yeah, that's why it's very important that he fights these UK fighters over here, because if he wants to go back into box office, he wants to fight the bigger fighters and can attract that. He needs to work on his defense right now. He needs to work on his weak spots right now. We know that in his two fights, which he lost against Lamont Peterson and also against Garcia, he had a glass chin, and that was exposed. And then after that, you know, he lost to Canelo Alvarez. So he has to make sure that he shows up that defense. Yes, he's still got the speed. We saw it the other day, knocking his opponent out in 40 seconds. The same.
Absolutely, but his chin wasn't tested. Like he knocked him out in 40 seconds.
Which is,
but was his chin tested?
So
no.
Then, so then that goes back to your point, right? He shouldn't get into a situation, leapfrog himself into a difficult situation. There's still a lot of technicalities that he needs to sort out before he really challenges himself.
Absolutely, that's what he's waiting for. That's the reason why he doesn't want to take the money fight against Kell Brook. Now, Kell Brook, it's going to be a massive fight in the UK. Everybody knows that. I mean, Amir Khan
and
is
everybody
a big
wants
name.
that.
Amir Khan is a very big name, and everybody
fans
wants that.
They'll want a longer fight, right? I think some fans are very disappointed. It only lasted 40 seconds.
I just don't want that specific situation that happened between Manny Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. People started saying that they've lost and they've passed their prime. I don't want Amir Khan and Kell Brook to pass their prime and then get into the ring. I want both of them in their prime form and then get into the ring, and then we'll find out who the better man is.
Look, like most athletes, like most competitors, I mean, they are confidence-based performers, confident-based individuals. And I remember interviewing Amir Khan a couple of years ago, and he said, look, if my confidence isn't there, you know, I won't be the boxer that I know that I can be. Right, so obviously when he got knocked down a couple of years ago, I mean, it must have shattered his confidence. So to be able to acquire that self-belief once again couldn't have been easy. And of course, we keep mentioning the stuff that happened outside the ring. I mean, at the end of the day, he may be a great competitor, a great boxer, a great fighter, but he's a human being. I'm sure all these things got to him, because I think 70% of any sport, it's all up here, right? So it's good to see that Amir Khan is in a good, solid frame of mind. The tunnel vision is definitely there.
I think it's fantastic. You see, he's acquired a lot of experience. He's had a lot of ups and downs. I remember when he was fighting against Lamont Peterson, and he was actually defending his titles
back in 2012.
Back in 2011, in fact, in December 2011, when he was defending his welterweight, light welterweight title. I mean, he was he was on top of the world. He was like the biggest fighter out there in the welterweight division. And after he lost that and then lost to Danny Garcia, yes, he came down to earth. But then after that, he showed that he needs to work his way back to the top. And yes, he had some fights. He won along the way. Then we had Canelo Alvarez. But we can see maturity over here. We can see that now he knows he's been through that and he doesn't want to repeat that situation again. So I think right now, yes, Kell Brook is very important for him. But maybe one more fight and then we can have the big man.
I think there was a lack of maturity when he took the Canelo Alvarez fight. Now it was a money fight, and he knew that Canelo Alvarez is a knockout artist, and Canelo Alvarez is the biggest name in the light middleweight category. He fought with Money Mayweather. The only person he's ever lost to is Money Mayweather. Yeah. He was contending for Triple G, Gennady Golovkin, and things turned out bad for Canelo as he didn't go past through the drug test. But then again, Amir Khan picking up Canelo Alvarez fight just because Golden Boy said so. It was brave of Amir Khan to pick that fight. But then
that's
again,
you can look at it from that perspective.
But it was dangerous.
Well. It took guts. Dangerous, but it takes guts. And a champion like Amir Khan will always look to challenge himself, right? Even if it doesn't work out. I'm sure he knows what the risks are.
Yeah, I think he knows now. He knows that, yes, he took the risk. He listened to Golden Boy, but then he went a weight above, his comfort zone. And and for that reason, now I think he's going to be mature. That going forward, he's in his own comfort zone. He sticks to 147 because we know that at 147, that's his best weight, and that he has got his best opportunity at that level.
Or even a catch weight like this. I mean, the fight that we just saw with Phil Greco was at a catch weight, 150 pounds. Now, you can't fight for a world title at 150, but you can always fight with other boxers who don't have the belt, and it's not a championship bout.
Right. We have to wrap up, gentlemen. We have to move on to our next segment. But before I do, what do you think is coming next for Amir Khan? Do you think fans are getting too caught up with this 40-second victory, or will we see more great things?
I'd like to wish Amir Khan the best of luck. I mean, he's a champion, and he's a true champion, and Pakistanis know him all over. People all over the world know him, and they're expecting a comeback. And he's back to business with this fight. I mean, there's no stopping him if he chooses his fights. I'm not asking him to cherry pick his fights, but then again, I'd like to see a fight between him and Kell Brook earlier in 2019.
Ali?
I'd agree right now. I think he should. Right now, what he needs to do is he needs to sit down, rejoice, enjoy this victory, and sit down with Eddie Hearn and work for another fight, which you could see probably in September, October. But then after that, like Ahsan mentioned, a money match against Kell Brook could do the trick.
That would be his last fight, and then he can retire.
Right. Well, let's see what happens. We have to leave it at that for now, gentlemen. Thank you for coming on the show. It was a pleasure. We'll be back after a short break. When we come back, we'll be talking about golf. Stay tuned.